Okay, got it.
Okay, Chubbs, maybe you could use that, huh? That fingerprinting. That's real dirty stuff. Thanks. Listen, I just wanted to say...
But, Brian, you don't have to say anything. I know you're just doing your job.
Big doings, huh? Nothing news people like better than a murder case.
Sure.
But you know something, Colt? That partner of yours has got a way to go. Know what I mean?
Brian's got a lot more potential than you give him.
I don't give a plug nickel for potential. That's why I've got Emerson taking the Centel guy through the booking process. And maybe you can learn. Experience has got potential beat by a mile.
You can learn pretty fast, don't you worry.
Oh, yeah? And he learns to be a team player? That's what I want to know.
I don't see why not.
Crap. Came down as soon as I could. I don't understand. Brian, what are you doing here?
Hey, Tom. I'm with the department.
Hey, what's going on here, huh? Anyone wants to talk to Centel? Talk to me first. Who is this guy?
This is Centel's lawyer.
I'm Tom Bergman. Are you the officer in charge of this case?
That's right. Detective Bowman.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask permission to consult with my client privately.
Hey, look, don't get pious with me, okay? If you are Centel's lawyer, which I ain't heard him say yet, you can meet with him once he's booked. Booked.
I presume you're aware, Detective. I called you earlier and instructed you to stop any questions that you might have.
Counselor, we have done this one strictly by the book. A to Z, top to bottom, believe me.
You better hope that you have. Look, when the Centel family come in here, it's a zoo out there.
Yeah, sure, it's a little unusual, but you don't always have to go by the book.
Funny how the press got wind of this before Mr. Centel's lawyer.
Oh, they have a nose for news.
I trust the force. There's no one on the force blowing his own horn.
The way I see it, Counselor, it's the murderer who blows the horn. Hey, Emerson, how about you escort the prisoner down to the lockup?
Yes, sir. Travis, I'll speak to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, don't say a word.
No, you have to wait over here, man.
Emerson, do what I told you. Take the prisoner down to detention. Move it.
My husband, please.
This is Search for Tomorrow.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Wyatt. Where's Andy? I thought she was going to be dressed and ready at 6 o'clock.
I believe she's still upstairs. Oh, doesn't anything get into that child's head?
What have you done to your hands?
Oh, well, a little mishap in the kitchen.
What happened now?
Well, it's a matter of Miss Andy's toast. You see, she likes warm jam, and so she put the jam jar in that microwave oven just for the...
With the top
on.
Yes, and it exploded?
Well, it did tend to develop a system of cracks, yes.
Come on, Rose, it exploded, right?
Well, it did tend to fall apart in a somewhat violent way, yes.
And that's how you hurt your hand?
Oh, no, I ducked. But it was the cleanup that was my undoing. Now, you can't blame Miss Andy for that, can you?
Why not? Andy, you get down here.
I'll get her, ma'am.
No, you can't go upstairs. You can hardly walk. First at your ankle and now at your hand. Rose, we've got to keep that kid out of the kitchen.
Yes, I know, but, well, it's just that she does like to come in and talk, and how can you tell a face like that to go away?
But you don't have to pay for friendship with blood. Rose, Andy, you get down here this minute.
Coming.
What is that?
It's a dog, ma'am.
Unfortunately, there's very little I can do at the moment. They'll hold Travis in detention until we set a bail hearing.
Yeah, well, when will that be?
Probably a couple of hours. Then we'll have time to speak to him, and maybe I'll get an idea as to why he would confess to something that he didn't commit.
I already know the reason for that.
What do you mean?
Tom, he's taking the blame to protect me, because he won't punish me.
Are you sure?
It does make sense. And it explains Travis's behavior this morning. The minute he found out Liza was coming home, he kept saying, I'm not going to let anyone harm her.
have to tell what I know. I don't want them to keep him locked up any longer.
Wait a
Tom.
minute. This is not a time or a place to discuss any of this.
I don't care. I'm going to do it.
Well, I'm not going to let you. It's all wrong.
Now, what's wrong about it if it's something she wants to do?
I think I agree. If Liza does have information about Rusty's death, I think it's time to come forward with it.
Look, I understand what you're all saying. But let me speak to Travis first.
No, there isn't time for that.
Sure there is. I don't want to weaken your position.
My position couldn't be any weaker. Now, listen to me. He's made up some story about killing his father. I have to tell the police what I know.
All right, if that's the way you want to do it. But do me a favor. Let me speak to Detective Bowman.
No, Tom.
10 minutes.
No.
I'll be right back.
Tom, please.
Tell me where Detective Bowman's office is.
Right through there, George.
Thank you.
Me what this dog is doing in my house?
I brought him home with me
Why?
because we belong to each other. See, he's been hanging around school for a couple of weeks, bumming food, and he always seemed to like my lunch best.
Oh, I'm sure Rose was very flattered.
Yeah, and then today, he just followed me home, so now I'm gonna keep him.
No, you're not, dear.
I am. Wendy said I could.
Oh, then she must have meant that you could keep him at Keith's house.
The stupid landlord says no pets, so I gotta keep him here.
Well, this landlord says the same. No pets. Get rid of him.
Please, Stephanie, please. Scratcher needs us. Look, he's lonely.
Scratcher? That's his name, and he must have fleas.
So what? Just because he has fleas doesn't mean he ain't lonely. Fleas aren't much company. Please, Stephanie, I'll pick up my wound and say excuse me and everything.
Darling, that's very tempting. But no! He's too big.
But you got a big house. He kind of fits right in, you know?
That dog does not fit into this house, and he never will.
It's not fair. Wendy said I could keep him. Can't you ever be nice to anybody, even your own daughter?
Oh, Andy, that wasn't very nice of you to say that.
I'm sorry, Stephanie. I didn't mean it. Honest. I just want to keep Scratcher so bad, that's all.
Oh, honey, I know you do, but look around at this lovely, beautiful house. You don't want it infested with fleas and whatever else he's got, do you?
Then how about Rose and me give Scratcher a bath? We could use that bubble stuff you gave me yesterday.
Now, wait just a moment. You cut Rose's hand this morning.
What?
Yeah, on the bottom of the jam jar you made this morning.
Gee, I'm sorry, Rose. I didn't know that. Did it hurt?
No, not a bit, Miss Andy.
Rose? Never mind. Rose is battered enough and the dog goes.
But kids need pets. I bet the social worker would tell you that.
Well, wonderful. Go give it to the social worker then.
Scratcher has to go to the pound. I'll just die. Please let him stay, Stephanie. Look how much he loves us. Just look at that face. I mean, ain't that a face you could just love? Kind of grows on you, you know?
I will wring your neck. Oh, all right. I can't fight the both of you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks a lot.
He can visit until we find his rightful owner, and I'll advertise in the paper, and I'll put him on television if need be.
Naturally.
Come on, Scratcher. Let's have a bubble bath.
Don't worry, Mrs. White. I'll call the druggist, and he'll send over some proper flea soap immediately.
Now, I'm serious. We're going to find his owner. He can only stay until then. And we're going to find someone to come forward and claim that wretched dog.
Yes, well, if you don't mind my saying so, perhaps it's not my place, but frankly, I don't think anyone will step forward and claim that dog. Excuse me?
Oh, Rose.
Look, I'd appreciate a straight answer from you, Detective. How long are you going to deny me access to my client?
Well, let me explain to you about that. See, the fact that your client has more money than he knows what to do with, and the fact that he can bring in a big-shot lawyer from Washington, D.C., well, that ain't going to speed things up one little bit.
That doesn't answer my question.
Your client, like every other detainee, will be strip-searched and placed in a cell, minus his shoelaces and his belt. Then, when the sergeant in charge downstairs says so, well, the man can request a meeting with his attorney.
Got the confession here all typed up and ready to sign.
Okay, I'll take care of it, thanks. Mark, while you're here, do me a favor, check out the Fuller file, will you?
Okay.
That's the confession that I think it is. I can assure you that it's going to remain unsigned.
You're going to advise your client not stick his John Hancock on this?
Absolutely. So you can forget about using it in court if it comes to that. I can assure you that no jury will lay their eyes on that or any other inadmissible evidence.
Counselor, have you ever heard of a TV camera? We are living in an age of technology, which is very lucky. Because even if Centel were to put this into a shredding machine, the jury would still see his confession. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
I'll expect a copy of that videotape as soon as my client is charged.
Sure, I'll tell the DA you said so. Mr. Breimer is always cooperative.
Paul Breimer is handling this case himself?
Oh, what can I tell you? The man is a political animal. This is the biggest case in years. There's a primary coming up in June. Sure beats lunch at the Rotary Club, don't it? What?
Sir, this woman insists on seeing you.
It's all right, officer. Plenty of room in here.
Liza, I think you're rushing into this a little bit too fast. I haven't had an opportunity to discuss with Detective Bowman your situation.
What are you two mumbling about over there? Come on in, ma'am. You are Travis Centel's wife, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, do have a seat, please. Have a seat. My name is Bowman, by the way. Detective Bowman. I think it's very good of you to come forward like this, but actually we won't be wanting to question you until later. Probably tomorrow.
I want you to hear what I have to say now.
Uh-huh. Well, if it's about bail, that's all taken care of by the judge at the arraignment. But Mr. Bergman here could have explained all that to you.
There's something you don't understand.
Liza!
Please, Tom.
Did you want to tell us something, Mrs. Centel?
I want to confess to the murder of Rusty Centel. I shot him.
That money is mine to do with whatever I want. Or don't you see it that way?
I don't care if you spend it on chocolate-covered grasshoppers. I just thought that we had a deal that when we get married, we live off of what we earn.
You're right, we did, but you left out the fact that we have some huge debts to pay off.
That's right, and I'm going to handle it.
Keith, the point is we're even. You've got some extra debts, I've got some extra money. Would it be so awful to let me pay a few bills?
Yes, it would. I will handle my own bills. Is that understood, Wendy?
Fine. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But at least I can pay for Andy's scratcher shots. I mean, it's the only thing she's ever asked of me.
Look, I don't care what you do, all right?
Fine.
Knocked me into a table. He was talking about being strong and being a survivor. There was a gun on that table. I picked it up. I wasn't pointing it at him. I told him he was a coward, that his strength was in guns, hiding behind violence. I became hysterical. I don't know what I said. I was so hurt. And then, I don't know how it happened, but I slammed the gun down on the table and it exploded in my hand. He fell. I just kept hearing the echo of that gun in the room. I ran out.
Mrs. Centel, I'd like to ask you if anyone prompted you to come forward with this story.
No.
Murder was a few days ago. Why'd you wait till now to confess to it?
I didn't know what I was doing. I ran out of the house. I got in my car and I drove all night. I ended up in New York. Then I knew I had to get help. I drove to Washington to see Tom, and he brought me home.
You mean you were disturbed after the murder, went into some kind of shock?
I guess.
But this is your own story. I mean, no one has given you any details.
This is no story. No one gave me any details. I did it.
But you fired the weapon only once. Is that correct?
The gun went off once. Yes.
Get the photographs, Marks. Mrs. Centel. That was one fantastic story you just told us. And we believe every word of it. We're going to make up a transcript. We're going to have you sign it. There's only one thing. It's not exactly what you think.
What do you mean?
No way did this woman kill Rusty Centel.
Yes, I did. I did it. I saw him fall.
Oh, I'm sure you probably saw him fall. Man was so crazy, he kept every gun in the house loaded. See, if he saw a weapon in somebody's hand and it went off, you could bet he'd hit the deck and stay there. He was no dummy.
Here's the living room of the deceased. You were probably standing here, right?
Yes.
Pointing the weapon at the victim behind the desk.
Yes.
And after you fired, he dropped down behind the desk.
Yes.
You see this here, ma'am? That's a bullet hole. 2 shots were fired that night. The first one landed in the book. The second one killed Centel. You fired the first one.
I don't understand.
Neither did we. But what you just told us explained it all. See, we couldn't figure how the bullet hit the bookcase at that particular angle. Now, here's where Centel died. By the fireplace. 1 bullet, close range, in the heart. No mistake there. If you had a hit in there, no way could he have changed position.
What are you saying to me? Do you mean that after I shot him, he got up, he moved?
Your bullet missed, Mrs. Centel. Oh, after you left, the victim probably jumped up, laughed his head off. Till somebody else came in. Used the same gun on him. So you can go home now, ma'am. We may want to talk to you again later, but you see, you didn't kill Rusty Centel. Your husband did. Sorry.